Everybody, welcome to CastorsCorner.com. I'm your host Khalil here on our live toy of the day here on our YouTube channel. So glad that you can join us tonight. We're continuing our look at the Hasbro Marvel Legends Bad Guys Wave, or the Zemu Wave. I like to say the Bad Guys Wave because really there's no heroes. I mean, one of the ones I'm talking about tonight, I don't know, kind of walks that line in Marvel Comics of hero versus not hero. So Red Skull and Dormammu, I think, are top tier villains in the line, to be honest with you. And I think what we're doing tomorrow is kind of like B level. So if we got A, we got B. I think Zemu was like X, that kind of fits. These guys kind of, tonight's review kind of falls in between. Oh, before I forget, go to CastorsCorner.com for a full gallery of these guys. Don't forget to check us out on all social media. We are at Castors Corner. And make sure to check out the podcast on Apple Podcasts. This week with our friend Toy Shiz, last week with MCU Collector, MJ from Total Toy Recon, Vincent from Basket Toys, Lacey Gillerin, talking Star Wars, and on and on and on. There's a whole archive of like 135 or 136 podcasts, so go check those out. So Hasbro Marvel Legends Wave, we got these from Dorkside because they got them in early. We usually get all our stuff at Mike's Comics and stuff, or Mike's Toys and stuff, sorry. I still say that. Mike's Toys and stuff. I'm sure he'll be getting them soon as well. They are street dated in Targets right now. I've seen multiple people try to buy them and get turned down. But so I was lucky enough to get them. And I have to say, like, overall, I think that this is one of the best waves they've done in a really long time. So I think that that's a definite boost to the wave itself. One of the characters from tonight is a figure that has been on wish lists for a long time, and mine as well. And the other one kind of came out of nowhere for me, but is a great addition to my collection. So I'm actually, I gotta look something up, because it's been so long since I've looked at the character, and I probably should have done this ahead of time. Marvel's the Hood. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Parker Robbins. Okay. Sorry. It was one of those moments where, like, I couldn't remember for the life of me. So, AIM Scientist Supreme. I have no idea about this guy. Never heard of him before. Never seen him before. Don't know a lot about AIM. I wasn't a big Avengers kid growing up. It just wasn't something I was into. So MODOK and AIM and that world of Avengers was never really my focus. I was never one of those kids that liked the Avengers. I always loved the X-Men and I loved Spider-Man. You ask me something about Peter Parker and his Rogues Gallery? Yes. Ask me about the X-Men? Yes. Backwards and forwards. Ask me about characters like this? No clue whatsoever. But considering my giant AIM army that you saw a few weeks ago when we did our MODOK review, this guy is definitely a welcome addition and a standout when with those. I did not break out the entire army for the photo shoot, just a couple of these guys to go along with him. But the different colors, the bulkier body, the armored look, the big belt, I think really separates him from the AIM scientists and the AIM soldiers or mercenaries or whatever you want to call them. So I think that this is a great addition to that. Looks good next to MODOK. Really, really captures that AIM buckethead look. I think he just looks fabulous. The light blue with the gold just is great. He's got great articulation. Definitely uses some Iron Man armor or Doctor Doom armor or whatever armor that he shares parts with. He's a little bit bigger than the average figure, a little bit bulkier. He comes with a computer pad device thing that he can hold, which when they do accessories like this, it's just one of those things that, like, you wouldn't think a computer pad would be a welcome accessory to a collection. But I can tell you right now, wish they included like 5 of these with this guy, because multiple people could use them, even though it's got the little aim symbol in the top there. So I think it just adds to the aesthetic. I don't think it adds... It's weird. The thought in my head is I don't think he really adds to the overall roster for me. I don't think he's ever going to be a standout figure that kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, I got to keep my aim scientist supreme. Like, I think he just kind of melts into the background and becomes part of a diorama at some point. And I think that is part of the magic of this line, that you can collect a character that you don't want, but you know at some point is going to look great with all the other figures together. Because he's not a Firestar. He's not an Incredible Hulk. He's not Spider-Man or Iceman, or I'm just naming Spider-Man's Amazing Friends cartoons right now. He's not Blink. He's not Morph. He's not somebody from the Exiles or Age of Apocalypse. He is just a kind of like cog in the machine that kind of just adds to the roster. I know I just said it doesn't add to the roster. It does. It adds to the diorama roster. Let's put it that way. And a great addition to the wave. Another character that, without the other heavy hitters in the wave, I don't think I would have gone for on his own. So I like that they're kind of combined in there. And I've got to look up the next character's name. So Parker Robbins. So I remember when the Hood got introduced into the Marvel Comics wave, or Marvel Comics. I read a lot about the Hood. It was during Avengers Disassembled. The Underworld was kind of in chaos. Parker here got hold of a magic cape, or hood, right here, and he wears it and fights evil, or fights the good guys. But I never took him as like a Doctor Doom or like a Venom. I always thought of him as a guy who was like a small time crook that got in over his head. And we've seen that before. We've seen that idea of like the reputation gets ahead of the individual. And I think this is one of those cases where he wasn't supposed to be this big crime boss, and then he was. And it was kind of like his reputation just kind of got out of control. The stories about him, the magic of this hood cape thing, really just kind of went ahead. And everybody's been laughing that this is the toy collector figure, because this is like the average costume that we wear to the store to go and bother Target employees. With the mad yelling face. It's a good joke. Thanks Hasbro team. The Hood just kind of sits on him like this. And I'll admit, the weakest part for me as a collector and a fan of the character, the weakest thing here is the head sculpt. I think it's an amazing head sculpt. I think it's really highly detailed. It's probably one of the best they've done for a figure, next to movie figures. So don't get me wrong in saying that. Yes, it's a great sculpt. There's nothing wrong with the artistic piece of it. I don't know how I could have pulled it off. Like, I don't know the best way to do it. Because in the comics, this hood usually obscures most of the face. So you usually only see, like, from here up, right? So I wish they had done something with the sculpt of the hood where it kind of draped down a little bit. Maybe there was no detail up here, or it was all blacked out. Just aesthetically to make it more on point. Because he just wore normal clothes under the hood. There wasn't anything really special about his costume itself. So normal clothes underneath. I just wish his face could be obscured a little bit more. In the comics, they did it with shadow, right? They just colored it over and they made it look like it kind of draped over and shadowed his face when he was wearing it. I think I could see some of the art that they took it from. But you always had this this is kind of what I think of when I think of him there, where you don't really see the detail in the face. Or it's very muted, but it doesn't transfer into it doesn't transfer into plastic. So I get it. I wish it could have been a little bit different. But it's a great figure. He comes with 2 pistols, and because he's wearing the hood, his pistols have magic power, and they fire magic bullets. And unfortunately, they have some disturbing shapes. And there's no way to get around that, and that's all I'm going to say about that because everybody understands that. So we're going to leave that alone. You can check out the gallery if you really want to see them. I don't know how that got past all the QC. I understand what they were going for. I don't think that they got it. So Parker Robbins here, AIM Scientist Supreme. I think, this has been on the fan. This went up for a fan vote way back when Hasbro first took over. This was a custom figure that was in the case at San Diego one year that everybody had a vote on and decide if they wanted him to be a figure, and he didn't make the fan vote, although he was one of my top choices for the fan vote. I really liked the character at the time. I'm really happy to have him in here. He looks great with Madame Mask. I had to dig her out to be able to do a photo with them together. And then this just adds to my, my roster of villains. So great additions to the line. Great to have them as part of it. We're going to wrap up this wave tomorrow with a look at Lady Deathstrike in Arcade. You can check out a full gallery of these guys on castorscorner.com. You can check out us on social media. We are at Kastor's Corner, and you can go to and check out the podcast, Apple Podcasts, the Cornercast podcast. And remember what I always say every night. The more of you that subscribe, which is over here, I think it's over here. I've been told it's over here, so we're gonna point over here today. The more of you that subscribe, the more cool things we get to do, and then we get to share them with you. And that's really one of the best parts of this journey, is to kind of share my thoughts, and hopefully you share them back with us in the comments, and all the places that you can. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow night with another toy of the day here on castorscorner.com. See you tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.